at 7B Factory Road, Umuahia, or visit our marketing office at Bank of Industry Building, number 1 Constitution Crescent, Asa Road, Aba, Abia State. Or call our marketing team on 0703-160-8029 or 0805-174-5686. Flow 94.9 FM, the flow of God's own state.
Radio.
It's not just radio anymore. Flow 94.9 FM brings you something big and new. Let's give you that camera lights action effect, which is also part of our complete outside broadcast services for all your event coverage, both recorded and live. Juicy offers await you as you do business with us.
Let's go.
So what do you have? Is it a wedding, cultural event?
And this is Politics right now on Flow 94.9 FM. Good morning to you, Sampson Eze.
Good morning to you, Michael.
All right, this morning we're talking about politics as it concerns Abia State, like I said earlier. And just yesterday, we had President right here in Abia State, Abba to be precise. He inaugurated a new area market independent power project to boost business activities at the popular area market, which exports products to neighboring West African countries. Something.
Yes, the president was in town. He first of all visited area where he commissioned that independent power project to boost business activities for the people who operate in that market. Abba has been designated as the commercial hub of even West Africa, and then receiving so much impetus from the federal government and the state government supporting as well. Well, the president commissioned the project, but then the politics behind the project is something that is a bit worrisome. The controversies, who owns the projects? Well, the APC in Abia State, they are saying that the project is solely owned by the federal government, and not that the state government is disputing it, but then it looks like they are not acknowledging the efforts of the governor in attracting or bringing home this project. And then the state government is saying that they had a role to play in making sure that the project came to be. Well, this is the subject of our discussion this morning.
Exactly.
The politics of the project that the president commissioned yesterday in Ariaria. And joining us to discuss this is Honorable Chinonye Nwogu. He is the special advisor to the governor on job creation, and also on the other side of the divide, coming from the APC, is the spokesperson of Uchoga. That's the governorship candidate of APC. Great Imo Jonathan. Good to have you, gentlemen, in Flow 94.9 FM.
Thank you very much for having me here. Good morning, Abians.
My pleasure to be here, Sam and Oni. Good to see you this morning. And I say good morning to Abians.
All right, let's begin with you. We will start with you. Great. Your party, and also your party takes the control of the affairs of the country at the national level, and your party is claiming that particular power plant is by the APC-led federal government. Can you reiterate this? We want to know your position on this.
Well, our great party, the All Progressives Congress, is not claiming. We are not claiming. It is on record that the project that was inaugurated yesterday by Mr. President is purely the initiative of the federal government of Nigeria led by the APC. And we have a background to this. Prior to our coming to government, the PDP has been in power for 16 years at the federal and 20 years now at the state. And you can bear witness that prior to this time, there was no project like that in Abia State. When there was an independent proposition by Geometric Power led by Professor Batunaji to help the Eastern economy, particularly the Aba economy, under the old regime, they signed an agreement for a ring power that gave Geometric Power the opportunity to come on generate over 140 megawatts of electricity to cover Aba and the rest of them. PDP being what they are, reneged on that agreement. When the privatization took place, they even privatized the geographic location that have been, already given out to Geometric Power. They sold it to now Enugu Electric Distribution Company owners and shut down that project. Aloji Power Plant and all the rest of them that were started before that privatization, everything became comatose. And this situation continued before the coming of APC government. And looking at the fact that the PDP deliberately gave this power project, independent power project, to their cronies who were inexperienced, who were not ready, who did not want Nigerians to have power. Federal government was also challenged by the fact that there were legal processes that were entered into before the federal government under the PDP gave out this contract. You couldn't have dissolved them. Therefore, we were left with what can we do on the immediate to help Nigerians, to help Abians, to help those in our area and other economies to begin to produce. That was how we came up with what they call small ring power ideas. It is not only for Aba, it's also for Lagos, for Kano, for Ondo, and all of them. These are pilot projects. What the federal government did was to allow independent people who can generate more power within clusters, universities, markets, so that these various sub-sectors and institutions can begin to function to energize the economy. And that was how the idea of independent power came. It is purely an idea of rural electrification agency under the federal government of Nigeria. And of course, Ariaria is in Aba, is in Abia State. There is no way maybe you could be doing anything that maybe the federal government would not, once a while have the state government to visit. And nobody's in doubt of that. But I'm only going to ask, their role is what I don't understand, because if they are laying claim to victory, to glory of this project, I want to understand that role. What was it initiated by them? No.
All right.
A state government who's look. Do you know why? It will be unfortunate. Let me come down with it. You know why it is difficult to believe what the PDP is saying? Government house Umaya does not have energy. Go to Lagos. The government house Lagos is run by independent power. Okay. All the street power you see there is run independent power. So they couldn't have claim to this victory when they have not done anything for themselves. So okay. It's
Chinayenwogo, you're like the focal person for Abia State when it comes to most of the federal government intervention projects. I know you anchor the Empower, even the school feeding program. Now, what is the role of the state government led by Okeze Ikpeazu and all this? You heard their own narrative as well.
Thank you very much. I'd like to congratulate the people of Abia for the warm reception given to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria yesterday. Once again, Dr. Okeze Ikpeazu proved yesterday of his capacity to lead Abia, to leverage on platforms and opportunities, and to create bipartisan relationships that for the benefits of Abians. Ordinarily, what I would have loved the APC in Abia to do was just to follow a simple example, which was shown yesterday by Mr. President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the Honorable Minister Power, Housing and Works, Babatunde Fashola. In their separate speeches, Mr. Fashola said that, reported to the President how commendable the activities and actions of the governor had led to the successful completion and implementation of that program. And the President, in his own speech, praised the governor of Abia State for putting the people above politics and becoming the kind of leader that Nigerians should look up to. He said those words yesterday. Now, what I will say generally, of course, I've severally told you on this platform that I'm not really a politician as to speak. I'm more of a technocrat, because sometimes politics get in the mix of reasoning. What Abians should be in a joyful mood today, especially those in our area. I didn't see the need for the backlash of a project that is aimed to boost the Made in Aba campaign, which the governor of Abia State have mounted vigorously since he became governor. Maybe I will just do a background and give you our overall strategy of what we have been doing to ensure that we have power in some of the centers of production to boost our economic activities in the state. When Godwin Okeze Ikpeazu was elected, during the campaign period. Of course, one of those who also were campaigning for the ticket of the PDP then was Mr. Uchoga, who at the time was also a member of the PDP. So all of them as PDP members had their programs. But Governor Kisi Bazo's manifesto contained a clear message of how he was going to leverage on the potential of Aba to grow Abia economy. And one of the things he said was how he was going to help market the productivity and capacity of Aba to service not just our state economy but our national economy, to place Aba on a global map as a center of production. Already Aba had that capacity to serve as a SME hub of Nigeria. In the 80s, Aba had already been named the Japan of Africa. So Aba is a brand, an existing brand, but it was just waiting for a responsible governor or government that will just leverage on that existing brand to bring Aba to the global map. And that's what exactly the governor promised Abians. And so when we did an analysis of the challenges in Aba, we saw that the Aba, of course, the innate creativity is there, the potential is there, the human resource is there, the capacity is there for production. But there were issues. We had issues like road infrastructure. We had issues like power. We had issues like access to finance. We had issues like market share. We had issues like branding, because Aba shoemakers will produce their shoes and they say made in China, made and all that. So we said, okay, how do we tackle it? Graciously, I was in the team set up by the governor to drive Made in Aba. And we said, okay, the first thing we needed to do was to do branding of Made in Aba. We needed to show the world that Aba, these good things you can pick up in shops in New York and Italy and everywhere in the world can come from Aba.
All right.
And so I'm responding to that.
Okay.
So in trying to resolve that, because the issue of power, today we're talking about power, but I want to give you a background. So we found out that power was an issue, road was an issue, and several others in access to finance. And today it is I don't know how politicians think about it. We run a federation. Nigeria is a federal. There is no federal citizen anywhere. Nobody comes and say, I come from, my state is Nigeria. Every one of us belong to the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And the resources of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is for every citizen of this country. And we have allowed politics to begin to creep into our reasoning that sometimes projects, and there was a time in this state when...
What exactly was Abia State government position as it concerns this area power plant?
So what we did was to engage. For example, first we noticed the geometric hard issues. We went to Egypt. The governor led a team to Egypt, Afrexim, to meet with the management of Afrexim. We met with the management of Diamond Bank, for all those who had issues, because there were a lot of intractable political inquiry around geometric EEDC. We thought that was our quickest way to resolve power challenge in Aba. We went to geometric. We went to Afrexim with the leadership of Geometric. We met with the EEDC management. We found out there were a lot of issues. But we were able to engage the Minister of Power, Mr. Fashula, and the Vice President. They intervened. At some point in time, we had a meeting with the Mr. President, with all the parties, because they also had some level of federal government, needed some level of federal government intervention. Then we came now to the issue of finance, and we almost concluded with that. And I want to let a little cat out of the bag. Yesterday, again, but I'm sure the governor will announce himself. The governor got another approval and waiver from Mr. President to support the power, to implement a power station in Aba. So when we went to meet with the Vice President before the inauguration of MSME clinics, one of the things the Vice President requested from the governor was some of the things the federal government needed to do to support the Made in Aba campaign, to energize the economy of Aba. The Vice President informed the governor that the federal government has a program called Energizing Economies. Energizing Economies was to those centers of production and businesses to provide power supply, while the state government provides some other resources to support the implementation. And mind you, for the benefit of the public, this is not a federal government funded project. It is a private sector funded project. Area Independent Electricity Distribution Network Limited is a holding company owned by area traders, the IPP providers, the technical partners. Rural Electrification Agency has about 5% stake.
Okay.
I'm giving you a background.
Let's get back to
so what the state government did was to engage. Okay, so we provided the land for the projects because, of course, it was also part of the strategy. The Fox Road you see end-to-end leading to our area, like the minister commended the governor yesterday. The state government provided land, provided the roads, access road. The state government, the first thing we did was when the MD Rural Electrification Agency came, was to hold a stakeholder meeting with all the stakeholders. I personally convened that stakeholder meeting at Aba Chamber of Commerce. You are asking me what the state government...
we'll get back to you. Have more time to speak on this particular issue.
Let me exhaust what I'm just saying. Okay. So the state government convenes and convened a stakeholder meeting for all the parties to agree on the processes and modalities of implementing this project. Then the federal government introduced Total Energy, which is the technical partners of the project, and we began implementation of this program. Now, what the role the federal government played was supervisory, because the funding is private sector.
So it was.
I was in this project from beginning to the end.
You will have your time, Mr.
You understand? From beginning to the end, I'll give you specific dates, specific names. Total Energy is the MD of Total Energy is Mr. Engineer Obani. Rural Electrification Agency, the MD Damilola. We had series of meetings. On Thursday last week, we were in Abuja to meet with Mr. President when he invited the governor to brief him about his visit to Abia. He asked the Rural Education MD, who was in that meeting at the presidential villa, to make sure that the governor is on the same page in terms of getting information that the project is ready. So essentially, the policy of Abia State government has always been to give credit to whom credit is due. We are very much appreciative of some of the interventions we have leveraged on from the federal government. The governor said that much yesterday. For example, Abia is the only state...
You have your time. Let's allow great perspective on this matter.
Great. The issue here is this. Don't you think that the governor's campaign they made in about promotion and some of the incentives and the drives towards making Aba is a place to reckon with in terms of developing small and medium enterprises? It could have been one of the things that made the federal government to consider Aba as a location for that project. It's on record that there are about 37,000 shops in that area market. Don't you think the governor's Made in Aba campaign must have driven the federal government towards that end as a location for that project?
Well, Sam, let me start by saying that we're not here to, market the PDP government in Abia. This is an interaction, and there's no reason why you should give the special advisor to the governor hold some time to start talking about PDP. Hold on, even outside, hold on, even outside the purview of our discourse, please. And the matter under review here is the power project in our area. And the question you asked him was the role of Abia State government in the project, which they have claimed glory for. And in all of this time you have given to him, over 15 minutes, he has not been able to say a particular thing that they did, other than we had meeting with this, we had meeting with that, we had meeting. Well, I'm not surprised, because this is how the PDP rolls out. Number one, I repeat that the Area Independent Power is an initiative of the federal government of Nigeria, and is not peculiar to other states. There are other projects going on in Lagos, in Kano, in federal universities, in Ondo. All these are within the purview and plan of the federal government. It is an IPPP, yes, but there is federal government investment in it. Apart from the land,
supervisory role,
not supervisory, also investment. Others say, well, federal government under through the rural education owns certain percentage. And I wanted to ask the special advisory government if there was specific interest in terms of ownership percentage. Apart from the fact that the land has been there, area had always been there. It was not a new portion of land acquired by government of Abia State. It was always part of a parcel of our area market. Let me even tell you background to that.
Did you know that we be happy that the federal government considered Abia for this project?
That is exactly why we should be happy. The PDP,
what's the buzz about ownership?
No, we are not here making any claims. We have not made noise about it because the project long coming. It was the PDP trying to leverage the opportunity to eulogize, talking about how federal government, Mr. President is praising Okezie Ikpeazu for doing nothing. And I'm not surprised at that, but what I wanted to do is to put the record straight. It is important that Abians should know the background to this. Prior to this independent power, let it be on record. Let me tell you that there was a time section of that market, which is the timber section, was gutted by fire under the old regime of the energy regime. And for years, they did nothing about it. And if he's here talking about even what Okezie, it's an indictment of the PDP government because they've been here for 20 years. So if for 20 years they could not do nothing. Currently, Abia State government does not have a state government out of its own. We are on lease. Currently, the so-called government house does not have electricity. Umuahia does not have street light. So if someone is claiming to have done so much, why is it the same spot at which the federal government has done its own that is coming to claim glory? They should have done other things. You're having meeting with Total Energy. You're having meeting. Anybody can have meetings. People are having meetings in the villages every day. How does that result to good results? We are saying that yes, this project is in Abia State. It couldn't have been built on air. The portion of land it was built is part of our area. And the president is not even interested in taking glory. What is important for the federal government led by President Muhammad Buhari under the APC administration is to get the economy functional. And because of the kind of agreement they entered into when privatization was taking place, Nigerians did not have the opportunity to end the power industry. They sold it to their cronies at nothing. So since after they privatized them, Nigerians did not have like the government of President Muhammad came and asked the question, what can we do to solve this problem? He's here claiming that they went to Egypt to go and have meeting. When you have a problem in Aba, you are going to Egypt to have meeting. It's on record. The Minister for Power, Housing and the Minister of Power, Housing and Works, Babatunde Fashola, led the federal government delegation to meetings with private sector and with independent power production companies, and even with geometry power to resolve these things. So many of them were in court already. You can go and read the history for yourself. It was after these meetings have been held and there was resolve made. Okay, even the electricity company Enugu was in court with geometry power before the coming of the federal government.
Let's stay on course. My question here is this: don't you think that the state government, through its Made in Aba campaign, created that enabling environment to attract the federal government to even see the need to help these traders in our area?
My brother, it's unfortunate that someone is claiming campaign for Made in Aba as an achievement. My brother, even when we were young, world over, Nigeria, people all over the world knew about Made in Aba products. What is new about that? You're made in Aba, you're made in Aba. We have had about 1.6 billion shoe factory in the last 3 years. We have not seen a single block. All these are just mere rhetoric and propaganda. What is on ground to show what you are doing? Federal government has a responsibility to patronize Nigerian-made products in order to boost the economy. That was some of the reasons why some items were banned. Innocent, which is not in Aba, is being patronized by federal government. Likewise, other Nigerian products. In fact, as a matter of policy, federal government of Nigeria made it a policy that anything that is being produced in Nigeria that can be gotten by Nigerians should be purchased. But go to Umuahia today. Most of government vehicles are imported vehicles. The governor gave SUV cars to local government. Were they innocent? Were they not imported? So what have you done to promote made in Aba, if I may ask? Aba have been making products. People have been coming. Historically, Aba have been here. So anybody coming to say it's promoting made in Aba, banding it around as an achievement, is wasting our time. Let's see concrete effort. There are roads not built, salaries are not paid. People who cannot pay common salaries are taking glory for what individuals are doing in Aba.
Are you
the one who set up those jobs?
The power project.
That is what we're saying. You asked me a question, I need to answer you.
I think you have something to say. But before then, was there any point in time that the state government, Abia state government, sought for help or intervention from the federal government in this direction, like asking the federal government to come and assist the state government to solve the power puzzle in Ariara? Was there at any point there was such a thing?
Like I said earlier, I'm speaking as someone who started this project. The first day the MD of Rural Education Agency visited Abia, I was the person that received her, and we had a meeting by the directive of the governor. We went to Aba Chamber of Commerce. We met with the president of the chamber. We met with the chairman of the leagues of association. We met with the area leadership at the Chamber of Commerce. The stakeholder was widely publicized. I was the spokesperson for the government in that meeting to agree on modalities for implementation of this project. So when I speak, I'm not speaking like a bystander. I'm speaking like someone who from beginning to the end of the project was part and parcel of it. Now, when we started the Made in Aba campaign, like I said, we had understood that there were issues. One was power. The other was infrastructure like road and access to finance. It's you know, what the governor has consistently said is that those who do not understand modern day governance do not think mostly about incremental governance. Today, how you build economies is how much funds and how you strengthen the economy to put funds in the pockets of your citizens to increase per capita income. It is on record that after the vice president visited Aba and saw the energy, on the invitation of the governor, order number 3 was signed. It was on the basis of that order that the military ordered 50,000 boots, military boots, to be produced in Aba. Okay. On average of 10,000 per pair, that would be like 500 million directly into the pockets of Aba traders. That road, Fox Road, like the governor consistently said, he doesn't own a house on Fox Road. For us to do that road, we had to do 6.5 kilometers of pump from Ifobara to Waterside, so that's the intractable issues around Ukumango. You know Ukumango, in fact, some governors, former governors of this state, someone like Ojo Sokalo used to claim that there was a spirit in Ukumango. That's why the waterlogged issue will not be resolved. But today you go there, 2 years after we have done work at Ifobara, you cannot see a flood around Ezekon. In fact, one of the things that touched me yesterday was the testimony of one of the traditional rulers at the palace of Ezekon. I was there when the president visited. He said he thanked the governor for, he described the situation that before now, if you're coming to Ezekon's palace, at some point you have to park your vehicle and somebody will back you before you get into the palace. He thanked the governor for the hard work he did to get that road to the level and standard we did it. And we had to engage the services of a grade A contractor. Cetraco is one of the grade A contractors in Nigeria to do that stretch of road from Brass to the other side of the Enugu Port Harcourt Express Road. Well done. And the president also commended the government. What I expected, really, like I said in my opening remarks, was if the president of the country, who is a member of APC, we pour encomiums on the governor of the state. I would like to quote what the minister said yesterday. The minister said, "Mr. President, there was one man who stood by us. He is Governor Ikpeazu. All we needed was a phone call, and he said, I will provide the land. And he provided us this land. He promised to repair the area road. He has done it. there was also another man who supported us, Engineer Bath Naji. So I want to publicly acknowledge them for their sacrifice and ensure that if our common good is a collective goal, politics means nothing. Now, let me quote the president himself. The president said, "I thank Your Excellency Okezinkpa as the governor of Abia State for your support to this project from the Federal Ministry of Power, Works and Housing. Thank you for your cooperation. Without your cooperation, our work would not have been smooth. You have demonstrated that with the common good as our vision and objective, a lot can be achieved irrespective of our party differences and constitutional limitations." This is coming from the national leader of APC and a high-profile minister in the same government. Now, what that shows is that they acknowledge themselves because they were part and parcel. Unfortunately, those who speak for the APC in the state, like the governor has said, those who speak for the APC in the state, most of these things we are engaging with the federal government. It's unfortunate that in a state like Abia, people rather than promote their states, will continue to demarcate their states. It's on record today that over 30 roads have been done in Aba. It's on record today that the level of infrastructure development in Aba has gone high. We have attracted the best in the world to come to Aba to set up factories and do businesses. The federal government launched special economic zones. When we presented the Enyimba Economic City Master Plan to the federal government, they immediately adopted it. And Mr. President, for the very first time in the history of the Southeast, approved a free trade zone license for Southeast. It's unthinkable that such a feat could be achieved. The free trade zone license has been paid fully, $600,000 for the free trade zone license. The president have requested personally to come and do groundbreaking for Enyimba Economic City, which of course is the most audacious project that's coming up anytime in Nigeria. These are things, what the governor has done is to, and that is smart leadership. I remember there was a time we had a governor here. His name is now one of the chieftains of APC. The relationship between the federal government and the state government got so broken down that federal government sometimes all projects in the state were stopped. But Governor Ikpeazu, being who he is, and Mr. President have so noted that when the Vice President came here to launch our telehealth initiative, his praises for the governor is like words on the marble. He said so much about how governor has engaged with the federal government in a mature and constructive way to attract. That's what a smart governor does. Okay. You leverage on opportunities and platforms. Today, as I speak to you, Bank of Industry have launched a 400 million naira fund for shoemakers in Aba. So before we came on board, Bank of Industry had closed their office in Abia State and ran away from the state. When we came, because when we told them, for us to drive Made in Aba properly, these artisans must have access to finance. They must have access
you're
to
saying it's because of the state government's intervention that actually brought about that particular project.
Every of the federal government intervention in Abia. Okay. Because let me give you an example.
Just in a minute.
Let me just land here.
All right.
When I was in the villa on 17th of December as state focal person, we were hosted to a dinner. I spoke on behalf of the focal persons. When I finished, the Vice President remarked, is on record, remarked that even when they have an APC government in Imo State, that social investment is more functional in a state, Abia, because of the disposition of the governor of the state.
All right, thank you very much. Let's get back to you, Great. You speak for, you're speaking for your party now in this position, and
there's something I want to
let's allow him, please. Please, let's allow him. Thank you very much. Now, he mentioned so many things, several things done by the state government, Abia state government, the PDP government in Abia state, and also the Made in Aba, promotion of the Made in Aba, and also they step further. He mentioned that they provided like the Bank of Industry coming back to Abia State and some other things. You want to respond to that? Because as it stands now, according to Chinenye, he's saying that the state government provided the enabling environment, and he quoted the president. So what is your reply to this?
Well, let me start by saying he has said so many things, but in all of the things he said, he kept referring to what federal government has done. What the federal government has done. The only thing he does is to take glory, to say it is because the governor did this. He has not mentioned what the government of Abia State has done independently on its own, that they should be taking glory. Let me start by saying, let me quote.
Land.
Yeah, I said to you, was it a new portion of land or a land that was existing? That one. But whatever be the case, under the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, it is the governor that controls the land. It's not as if Governor Ikpazu gave land that is father's land or village people's land. It is part and parcel of area market, which was originally there. And it's not a bad thing that should happen, because if government wants to help Abia people to bring independent power, you're not expecting it to be in the air. It has to be on air, or it has to be on the earth. So that hasn't been said. Let me put to you that whilst he was making his quotation, he said Mr. President eulogized the governor. And in one of the things he said, he thanked him for helping our work. It is the work of the president, the work of the APC, it is the work of the federal government, not the work of the Abia State government. Thank God he is the one who quoted it. Now he talked about saying we demarcating the state. How can you demarcate the state? You are not demarcating the state because federal government is bringing this project. Because if we are demarcating the state, you wouldn't be seeing all these things. You talked about Bank of Industry loans. You talk about the infrastructure projects that have been provided. Presidency understands better than they. We all know the history of PDP in Abia. Their government is noted for intimidation, for lies and propaganda. And many Abians have seen roads built on AIT and so many other radio stations and media houses that are not on ground. Talking about we have done this, we have done that. You built a 6-point-something kilometer of road, Fox Road, a kind of project that is undertaken by local government chairman in Lagos, and you are making noise. In 4 years, almost 4 years, Abia State government has not built up to 100 kilometers of road, despite income of over 500 billion. Now, do you also know that federal government gave this Abia State government 14 billion out of the benevolence of APC government to bail out?
It was not like
hold it.
Other state governments.
Hold it now.
Okay.
Let me now say this to you. Was it also because of what he did? No. These are projects of the federal government that is intended to help the generality of Nigerians. They gave the state 14.something billion when the state government claimed to be owing 7.2 billion. Did they pay salaries? No. Then there was Paris Club for Reform of over 30 billion. You still did not pay salary. A government that cannot solve anything.
Let's stay on the course of
what do you mean? Okay. When a man left Area Independent Power was telling you how they were marketing shoemakers in Aba and all of this, you say you are not, you are still on the course. I don't want you to be gagged. I don't want to be gagged. If you allow me to respond to the things you have said, I'm responding to the things you have said, so you don't gag me. Now, you talked about infrastructure, though. He said he talked about smart leadership. What is smart leadership? When you cannot pay common salaries, when your pensioners are dying, when Umaya lies in the dark every night, when Aba is a rotten place. Yesterday I was in Aba, it rained, and everybody in Aba has the experience. When you come on air and you tell lies, people know the truth. How can you be saying you have done so much, yet you cannot lay claim to 100 kilometers of road? Go to Isuku, there is a big gully erosion that cut off so many communities in Abia. You are not done. All you do is sit here, take claim, take glory for what federal government has done. Yes, federal government is doing it, not because you are the state government, because they have to do what they have to do, okay, like they are doing in other states. Great. So you are not going to, okay, who takes glory for what the federal government is doing in Kaduna? Who takes glory for what the federal government is doing in Ondo? Who takes glory for even the name would have been designated state special economic zone? This is purely federal government initiative. You can talk about your initiative, not sit there and anything that has been achieved by federal government, you take claim. And the only thing you can claim today is a false road. And you even told us that is one of the kings that you saw in Ikone. Why even was he not the Enyi of Aba himself? Thanking you. Okay, you understand me? So these things are ephemeral. Let's deal with reality.
I think you've made your point. Now, the question here is this. We run a federation, like the federal government is for supervises or has an oversight on all the federating units. Now, is the APC in Abia State jittery about the relationship existing between the state government and the federal government and President Muhammadu Buhari precisely? Are you jittery about this?
Not at all. We are happy. Do you know why? Because we have had experience in this country when PDP was in power, and these same people who are PDP in Abia were part of that federal government under the PDP. They never helped opposition states. They emasculated them, seized local government funds of belonging to Lagos and the opposition party for years in order to emasculate the economy. That is why we are happy, because we have come to set example to show them how a federal government should behave. We are happy. Even my friend seated here has been given monies meant for social intervention.
Those are allegations.
It's not allegation. You can speak for yourself here.
Don't throw
hold it now, my brother. Hold it.
I have to regulate this program. Don't throw personal tantrum.
Hold it.
All right.
You know what? It's not an allegation. He's here. He can bear with it. There are social intervention funds that have been made available to Abia by federal government, which is under his management. He can bear witness to that. The government of Abia have received so much intervention from the federal, and we're happy for that. We are showing them that the interests of Abians are paramount, not this selfish interest of these people who have been in government for 20 years, keep looking for who to blame, taking glory for what federal government has done. They cannot point to what they have done in 20 years in Abia. Okay, look at him attacking Odjus Okalu. He attacked Odjus Okalu without any recourse to facts, because we are discussing PDP and APC.
All right, thank you. Please, if you must bring me here, pair me with someone who is operational with facts. Like I said, I rarely am a politician. I'm more like a technocrat, and that's why some of the roles I play in governments are interventionist in nature, to make sure that first, cement relationship. I think the APC in Abia loses erection because of the relationship between the federal government and the state government, because it hasn't been so. And one of the things I want to say, it's been bothering me when people mount the stage and begin to use the microphone and lambast. Who is APC in Abia? Who is PDP? 80% of those today in APC, including the governorship candidates, the deputy governorship candidates, all their senatorial candidates, just few months ago were all members and part and parcel of the PDP. One of the senatorial candidates was a governor of Abia State for 8 years. So when you say that PDP hasn't done well in Abia for 20 years, includes your own member whom you have given a ticket to go and run elections. So it shows that you are clearly saying that these people with us, including our governorship candidate who are part of PDP, do not have the capacity to run the state. So I don't know how they make that kind of statement. Second is the fact that, like I said, you bring me with someone who has facts. Social investment program, the structure of funding is so well stated. It's so clear. It's structured in such a way that no fund is warehoused in the states. We sat, I'm a focal person, we sat with the vice president on several months of engagement and meetings to structure funding for the project. And we all agreed that one of the ways to make it efficient is to ensure that no funding is warehoused at the state level, so that money goes directly to beneficiaries, so that there won't be any issue of diversion, any issue of any issue of manipulation of the fund. And this was signed by 36 state governors who themselves appointed focal persons to manage the program.
So yeah, that said, you said you're a technocrat, but I want to ask you this, because you're equally discussing politics and then you're working with politicians. Now, you talked about the school feeding program, the Bank of Industry returning to Aba, the Area Power Project, and then the Enyimba Economic City, and many other intervention programs from the federal government. So how would you score the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari?
In terms of leveraging on what we have done with them, we have maximized the opportunities available. But like I said on the 17th of December, I spoke with the vice president directly, and I told him there could be better ways to manage the economy. The economy of Nigeria indicators shows that the economy of Nigeria is not improving. It's the global parameters the global parameters to show whether this economy is growing or not is over there. And I told them that some of the things, intervention programs, even the funding of intervention programs. For example, we did Jeep in Abia State. We had a loan basket of about 3 billion. And if we had put the money in a better use, it would have been proper. For example, let me just give you what I told the Vice President. School feeding alone for the federal government costs about 340 million every month. In some states, you don't need to feed the children. You could channel that funds to other issues. You can improve infrastructure in the schools. You can improve the capacity of teachers. You can push the money. But because, of course, you know, we have a president who is a northerner, you know, the socio-cultural environment in the north about hunger and poverty. So they lump some of these ideas as though the whole country have the same, you know, environment. So, but on that, so that's why the economy is going down. Jobs are not being created. We could, like, for example, they make so much noise about bailouts and all those funds.
So you're saying, in summary, now you're saying it's below average for the federal government.
Of course, they know. The issue of corruption, for example, the APC government came on the mantra of fighting corruption, but of course, the war is completely lost because all the people who should be in jail are all around Mr. President.
All right.
We had someone who claimed that he was in coma abroad. He was declared wanted, and he disappeared from the environment. Yesterday, he appeared standing shoulder to shoulder with Mr. President, and this is a man who is standing trial for.
Okay, let's before we go, because of our time, we have less than 5 minutes on the program. Your scorecard of the federal government, because that's the last question. I know definitely you will defend the federal government positively.
Let me say this: if listening to my colleague here, and you would have heard that all the achievements in Abia State, he had made reference to what the federal government did. And now, even while he was trying to say he was a technocrat, not a politician, he has also descended to the arena of politics to say most of those who were in APC were in PDP, including all the Zocalo. But under the Zocalo school fees, there was free tuition in Abia State. Roads were built, salaries were not old.
Can we point to those roads?
Now hold it. He went as far as saying he advised him. Hold on now, you are distracting.
No,
you hold on.
Mention one road.
You are distracting. You are distracting.
Mention one road.
You are distracting this discourse now. You talked about school feeding. No, he condemned this economic strategy of federal government.
He was then a member of the opposition.
Okay, let's even leave that.
I mention one road that he built as governor. One, if you mention one.
My brother, Ururuka Road, which leads to my village, was constructed by Ojizakalu. Go and even Google it on your phone. I'm from Isialangwa North, and I can make claim to that.
Let's take feedback. Let's take feedback. 0808 182 6949 0811 605 2949. You can also drop your messages on the SMS line 0906 510 8289. Hello, good morning to you.
Hello, good morning, Mr. Michael.
Yeah, good morning to you.
You're from my colleague from Mumbai.
All right, you're welcome.
I want you to tell that PDP man he should stop blaming Ojo Zocalo or insulting him. Ojo Zocalo has done a lot in this subject. He should stop criticizing that man. There's nobody like Ojo Zocalo. I don't like that thing that man is doing. They're insulting that man.
No one insulted anybody here, please. There was no insult, okay? All right, there was no insult on the program today. Hello, good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning to you.
On the line. I want to say something. Yes, whether the federal government came and built the power plant, if OKC Bazi did not give them all the necessary materials for them to build that particular project there, it wouldn't have been done. How it about Kosaman that this state is a PDP state? What stopped them from going to Imo State and duty? So what I'm trying to say is this. OKC Bazi have done very, very well. Despite the fact that the opposition person there will not see any good thing in OKC Bazi. Let me tell us something. Let me tell
All right, you have to wrap up your calls because of our time, please.
Continue to do it in 2023. No vacancy coming out. Thank you and God bless you.
All right, thank you for your opinion. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Michael.
Yeah, good morning. What's your name?
Yeah, my name is Emmanuel. I'm calling from Mumbai.
You're welcome.
Good morning, gentlemen in the studio.
Good morning. Good morning.
Please, Mr. Great Jonathan. No amount of comment by that PDP man will change our minds.
because we have decided that enough is enough in this other state, and we're going to vote massively for Dr. Uchoga. So if the let them say Dr. Uchoga was once a member of PDP, if I was a member of PPA, let them also remember that they once left PDP for PPA. So
right, you have to wrap up your thoughts.
We have already decided that enough is enough. Those roads that are claiming in our NGDC roads, we all know that. Let them continue to claim federal government projects. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. I think that's how far we can go this morning because of our time. Well, we really do appreciate your time this morning. Great Imo. It's been a fantastic time talking to you. And also, Chinenye Nwogu. He speaks for the Abia State government, special advisor to the governor. Thank you very much. On job creation. Thank you very much for being part of our program this morning. And I think you should have a handshake. It's in the spirit of sportsmanship. Thank you very much, Sampson Eze. It's always a pleasure having you on the program Politics Right Now. My name is Michael Onidu. Have a fantastic time listening to Flow 94.9 FM.
Join our social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Flow949FM. And now, introducing our YouTube channel, Flow949FM. Flow949FM. Watch us live as we bring you trending news, politics, and lots of entertainment content.